Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. My name is Gary, and if there's one thing I've learned the hard way, it's that you never really know what's happening right under your own roof. People say that love is built on trust, and that when you find the right person, you should give them your heart completely. But let me tell you something. When you trust blindly, you're not being loyal. You're being a fool. I learned that the hard way. I believed in love. The kind where you commit fully, have each other's backs, and don't even entertain the thought of betrayal because you assume your partner values the relationship as much as you do. I never thought I would be the man sitting here, telling a story about how my own wife made me question everything I believed about love, commitment, and marriage. But here I am. Looking back, I realize how easy it is to be deceived when you're in love. You don't see the signs, or maybe you do, but you brush them off because you don't want to believe that the person you trust could be capable of hurting you. You assume that since you're faithful and all in, they must be too. But that's not always the case. After everything I've been through, I honestly feel like love is just a scam, a word people throw around without truly meaning it. If you stick around, you'll understand exactly why I feel this way. I met my wife, Kimberly, when I was 30. She was 25 and full of life. At that age, I was ready to settle down, build a family, and create something solid. When I met her, everything just clicked. We could talk for hours about anything and everything, and from the outside looking in, we seemed like the perfect couple. We dated for a little over a year before I popped the question. Some people might say that's not long enough, but I felt like I had found my person. There were no obvious red flags, nothing that made me second-guess my decision. We had similar interests and enjoyed each other's company. Everything felt natural, like we were meant to be together. After we got married, life was good. We moved into a nice place my mother owned and settled into our routine, and for a while, it felt like I had everything I ever wanted. I was genuinely happy. We did almost everything together in the beginning, but looking back, the biggest betrayals come from the people you trust the most. One day, Kimberly mentioned that her phone was acting up. It kept freezing, the battery drained too fast, and certain apps wouldn't open. She was frustrated, so I told her I'd take care of it. So, I took her phone to a repair shop, thinking it would be a quick fix. The technician looked at it and told me that repairing a phone would cost almost half the price of a brand new one. That didn't make much sense to me. If I was already spending that much, I might as well get her something new. I figured she'd be happy about it, and honestly, I liked the idea of surprising her. So, instead of going for the repair, I went ahead and bought her a brand new phone. What I didn't know was that this small decision would change everything. Before transferring files from the old phone to the new one, I decided to check through it one last time before giving the go-ahead order. I wanted to make sure everything important was backed up properly. Photos, contacts, messages, basic stuff. But as I scrolled through the menu, a disguised folder caught my attention. It was hidden and wasn't visible among other regular files. My gut told me to open it. When I did, my entire body stiffened. There it was, a dating app inside the folder. My brain struggled to process why my wife would have a dating app. I decided to open it, and as I kept scrolling, it was evident she was up to something. The messages inside told me everything I needed to know. She had been talking to other men, not just recently, but even back when we were dating. Some conversations were playful, some outright flirty, and others too explicit for me to even stomach. My fingers tightened around the phone as I read line after line. Different men, different conversations, but the same pattern. She laughed at their jokes, entertained their advances, and responded in ways that made it clear she wasn't just being friendly. She had been doing this under my nose the entire time. So, without hesitation, I took screenshots, capturing names, dates, and the worst parts of the conversations. I made sure to get everything. If she tried to lie her way out of it later, these messages would speak for themselves. Once I had what I needed, I locked the phone and handed it to the shop operator. "Go ahead with the transfer," I said, my voice steady. As the technician continued transferring the files, I stood there, completely zoned out. I wondered if she had always been like this. No matter how I turned it in my head, one thing was clear. This wasn't something I could ignore. I needed to talk to her. I needed answers. By the time I got home, I had already decided how I was going to handle it. So, when I walked through the door, I pulled out the brand new phone and handed it to her with a small smile, watching her face closely. Her eyes lit up, and she immediately wrapped her arms around me, pressing a kiss to my cheek. "Oh my God, babe, you got me a new phone?" "You didn't have to." She was genuinely happy, completely unaware of what was coming next. I let her enjoy the moment for a few seconds before I cleared my throat and spoke. "Yeah, I figured it was better than fixing the old one. By the way, I looked through your phone before the transfer started." My voice was calm, but direct. "I saw the dating app." Her smile faded in an instant. "Excuse me," she said, her eyes narrowing slightly. I held her gaze. "I saw it, Kimberly. I saw the messages. You've been talking to other guys." For a second, she just stared at me, and I could see her trying to figure out how to respond. Then, she scoffed, "You went through my phone?" "Seriously, Gary? That's an invasion of privacy. Do you not trust me?" I expected that reaction. Deflection. Making it about me instead of what she had done. I didn't let it shake me. "That's not the point," I said firmly. "I want to know why you have a dating profile and why you're talking to other men." Her expression changed again. She realized I wasn't backing down. "Look, I wasn't trying to do anything serious," she mumbled. "I was just, I don't know, bored, I guess. I never actually planned to meet anyone." "Do you understand how messed up this is?" I asked, my voice low but steady. "Giving attention to someone outside our marriage is how things fall apart. I don't want that happening to us." She looked at me, her eyes darting away like she couldn't handle the weight of what she had done. I took a deep breath and made my stance clear. "You need to end this. Delete the app. Cut off every guy you've been talking to. I need to know that this will never happen again." She nodded slowly. "Okay, I'll delete it." She pulled out her phone, and right there in front of me, she uninstalled the app. I watched her do it, but something in my gut told me this wasn't over. For the next 8 months, life carried on like nothing had ever happened. After Kimberly swore that she had deleted the dating app and cut off communication with those men, I did try to believe her. So, every time I remembered those messages, those conversations she had with other men, I told myself to let it go. I reminded myself that relationships require trust, and if I kept questioning her, I'd only push her away. There were moments when I'd hear her phone vibrate and my stomach would tighten, but I forced myself not to ask who it was. I didn't want to be that paranoid, insecure husband who smothered his wife with suspicion. I had no idea that while I was trying so hard to convince myself that everything was fine, my wife was still living a double life right under my nose. I woke up one morning feeling like my body was punishing me for something I didn't do. I had this burning, stinging sensation when I went to pee. I paused for a second, trying to make sense of this. The idea that I could have chlamydia or gonorrhea didn't even make sense. How the hell could this be happening? As the day went on, the pain didn't just stick around, it got worse. What started as a mild irritation turned into full-blown agony. Every trip to the bathroom felt like torture. By evening, I noticed something even more disturbing. A thick, yellowish discharge. That was the moment everything clicked. My body was telling me, loud and clear, that something was wrong. The next morning, I didn't waste any time. I went straight to the hospital, hoping for some kind of explanation that wasn't the one I feared. Maybe it was a urinary tract infection. But after a full examination and lab tests, the doctor sat me down and told me I had an STD. I stared at him, waiting for him to say something else, but all he said was, "These infections are only transmitted through sexual contact." That was it. My wife had slept with someone else. There was no other explanation. I walked out of that hospital in a daze. That night, I lay in bed next to Kimberly, staring at the ceiling while my mind raced in 100 different directions. The next morning, I woke up before her, already mentally preparing myself for what was about to happen. I made my way to the kitchen and poured myself a cup of coffee. A few minutes later, Kimberly walked in. She kissed me on the cheek, and I had to fight every muscle in my body from pushing her away in disgust. I let her pour herself some coffee, take a seat take a sip. Then I looked at her dead in the eye and asked, "Kim, have you been with anyone else?" The shift in her expression was immediate. Her face twisted into an offended glare like I had just accused her of murder. She put her cup down and scoffed. "Excuse me? What kind of question is that?" "A simple one. Have you been with another man?" I pressed. I could see the anger building in her eyes. "I can't believe this. Are you seriously accusing me of cheating? After everything we've been through?" I didn't blink. "Did you cut off the guys from that dating app like you promised?" That was when she exploded. "Oh my God, you're really bringing that up again? I told you I deleted everything. Do you have any idea how exhausting it is to be with someone who doesn't trust you? This is ridiculous, Gary. Absolutely ridiculous." But I wasn't backing down. "Then hand me your phone," I said. She recoiled slightly, pulling it back toward her. "No, that's an invasion of privacy." I nodded slowly. "All right, then let's go to the hospital and get tested. Together." She leaned back in her chair, folding her arms. "I don't have to prove anything to you." That was all the proof I needed. I exhaled through my nose, pretending to give up, relaxing my shoulders like I was letting it go. But the second she turned her head, I lunged and grabbed the phone from her hands. Before she could snatch it back, I pressed it against her face to unlock it. She shrieked and jumped up from her seat, grabbing at me, but it was too late. The screen lit up. I started scrolling. And there it was. Everything I feared. Messages, images, receipts. Conversations with multiple men, some recent, some stretching back months. Explicit texts, plans to meet up, and miss you messages. She never stopped. Not even after I begged her to end it. She had been lying to my face this whole time. As I turned to look at her, "How could you be this unfaithful?" My voice was eerily calm. She didn't even apologize or try to lie her way out of it. Instead, she scoffed and gave me the middle finger. Right to my face. I felt something inside me snap. "Pack your stuff. This marriage is over," I said. "I want you gone before I get back." She smirked, thinking I was bluffing. I didn't wait to argue. I grabbed my car keys, walked straight out the door, and left her sitting there. As I drove just a few blocks down the road, then I pulled over, picked up my phone, and called my lawyer. "Find me the best divorce lawyer in town. I want this done immediately." By the time I got to my parents' house, I already knew I wouldn't be going back that day. They welcomed me in, confused as to why I was there so early in the morning, but I just told them I needed some time. I didn't explain everything yet. I couldn't. When I finally came back to my place 2 days later, it was empty. She was gone. I didn't have to wonder where she went. It didn't take long for the truth to find me. She moved straight into another man's house. One of the guys she had been seeing behind my back long before I even knew what was going on. That realization burned in a way I can't even describe. I won't lie, divorce was hell. People talk about it like it's just paperwork, like it's some clean-cut process where you sign a few documents and walk away. But the reality is brutal. Divorce isn't just about legally separating from someone. It's about untangling yourself from the life you built with them. It's about waking up and realizing the person you loved, the person you made sacrifices for, the person you thought you'd grow old with, was never really yours to begin with. The pain is something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It probably hurt more because I truly loved her and gave her everything, which in return, she gave me nothing but lies. But I learned. I learned the hard way, and now I want other men to learn without having to go through the same thing. First, never love blindly. Love is supposed to be built on trust, but trust should never be given freely. It has to be earned. I trusted Kimberly because I wanted to believe in her, not because she deserved it. And that was my mistake. Second, if someone disrespects you once, they will do it again. I caught her talking to other men, and instead of walking away, I let her convince me it was harmless. That was the moment I should have left. The third lesson? Trust actions, not words. People will tell you what you want to hear, but their actions will always expose the truth. Kimberly told me she deleted the app. Kimberly told me she ended things. But Kimberly was still sleeping with other men behind my back. Lastly, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. The first red flag is all you need. Don't wait for 10 more. I don't share this story for sympathy. I share it because I know there's a man out there who needs to hear this. If you're ignoring the signs, if you're convincing yourself that your gut feeling is wrong, if you're making excuses for a woman who keeps disrespecting you, don't. Protect your heart. Protect your future. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send them this video. It might save them from the pain I went through.